He slapped the wrong woman and learned the hard way when far too late that she outranked him. Have you ever witnessed something unfold in real life so swiftly, so unfiltered and raw, that for a split second, your brain simply freezes? Like it needs a moment to process what your eyes just captured? That is precisely what happened that Tuesday afternoon on Forest Avenue, in the humid belly of Shreveport, Louisiana. The air was thick. Mid-August heat shimmered on the asphalt. Folks milled about, windows rolled down, sweat glistening. Some gathered around the food truck on the corner, grabbing their lunches under the sagging awning across from the quick stop. Traffic crawled. People strolled lazily. Children's laughter floated between snatches of music from somebody's crackling speaker. It was just life, ordinary and unbothered. Then the shouting carved through it. "Hey, stop right there!" A man's voice barked with sharpness. Heads turned instinctively. That voice did not carry the tone of casual argument. It carried authority, the clipped edge that made spines stiffen. Officer Brad Timmons came stomping across the sidewalk like he owned every square inch beneath his boots. His short-cropped hair glistened with sweat under mirrored sunglasses. His right hand twitched, hovering close to his belt. Too close. He was one of those types, the kind of officer always searching, itching, for a justification to erupt. The type who never asked first but presumed the worst by default. Across from him stood a woman, tall, composed. She wore faded jeans and a loose navy t-shirt. No badge on display, no weapon visible. Only a phone in one hand, a bag of groceries in the other. Her brow creased, puzzled. She had no clue he meant her, but she stopped anyway. Brad did not ease his stride. He closed the distance in seconds, boots thudding heavily against the sun-baked concrete. "I said stop," he repeated louder, stepping directly into her personal space. "Let me see your hands." The woman lifted both hands slowly, phone still resting in her palm. "Sir, I think you've got the wrong—" Smack. Nobody foresaw it, not even her. The sound cracked louder than it had any right to. A startling, hollow slap that seemed to echo off brick and glass. Groceries spilled violently to the pavement. Her phone arced from her hand and clattered on the street. A net of oranges tumbled, rolling into the gutter. Gasps rippled, then silence, then disbelieving murmurs. Did he just hit her? She didn't even do anything. Brad loomed over her, chest inflated, jaw clenched, nostrils flared. He breathed heavily, as though he expected, or wanted, a fight. But the woman, she simply raised a hand to her cheek, still standing, still impossibly composed. Her eyes did not brim. No shrieks erupted, no flurry of insults broke loose. Just a single long, deliberate blink, as if she were etching something into her memory. Then, in an unfathomable calm, she crouched, picked up her phone, gathered what groceries she could, and walked away. Brad did not pursue. He tugged at his sunglasses, muttered something about non-compliance, and swaggered back toward his cruiser as if nothing had happened. He did not file a report, not even a scribble. Some onlookers raised their phones, uncertain whether to record. Others just stood rooted, caught between paralyzing disbelief and quiet dread. But not dread of her, dread of him. A young man near the food truck muttered, "She's gonna sue the hell out of him." But the older woman beside him shook her head slowly. "Nah, she ain't gonna sue. That woman's about to do something way worse." And she was right. Nobody knew yet who that woman truly was. That night, Forest Avenue still hummed with whispers. By sundown, someone uploaded a video. Shaky, blurry, only a few seconds long. But it captured everything. Her restraint, his hand, the slap, the stillness afterward. No screaming, no threats. Just that smoldering, unnerving calm in her gaze. The video threaded its way through group chats, Facebook feeds, and late-night texts. Nobody knew her name, but everyone felt something in the way she strode away. It was not fear, it was command. Officer Timons, meanwhile, slept peacefully, or at least pretended to. He had no reason to worry, or so he believed. This was not his first appearance in grainy cell phone footage. Internal complaints slid off him like oil on glass. He had connections. Friends nestled snugly in the right offices. His father had worn sergeant stripes before retirement. Brad thought he was untouchable. He still thought so. By morning, he lounged at the precinct, bad coffee in hand, boots kicked up, laughing with two other patrolmen. That one chick thought she was slick, he cackled. Did you see her face? Froze like a deer. Classic. They laughed hard, but not everyone joined in. Detective Tay Saunders sat nearby, face impassive, hiding what stirred behind his eyes. He recognized that woman, not recently but distinctly enough. The stance, the gait, the precision. She was police, but not just police. She was internal affairs. Oblivious, Brad rattled on. Hell, maybe I did her a favor. Could have cuffed her. Could have hauled her in. I let her walk. That was when Captain Denise Harper swept through the glass doors like a gust of steel. Short, sharp, always in full uniform before sunrise. Timons, she snapped. He straightened instantly. Yes, ma'am. She did not respond. Briefing room, now. Brad smirked as he followed, still convinced he was in the clear. No racing pulse, no creeping dread. But elsewhere, in a quiet kitchen in South Highlands, Sergeant Nyla Freeman was fastening her badge to a crisp navy blouse. No rush, every movement exact and measured. Her cheek still bore a faint mark. Not from pain, she hardly registered that. From principle, from disrespect, and from the way onlookers had let it happen, as though she were invisible, as though her rank dissolved the moment she wore civilian clothes. She cast one final glance in the mirror. Not at the faint bruise, at her own eyes. Then gathering her file and keys, she stepped out. By 8:15 a.m., she stood before Brad's precinct, her badge clipped high, her blazer immaculate. She did not knock. She entered, as if the building belonged to her. Every conversation in the lobby choked mid-sentence. No voice dared rise above a whisper. She did not shout, did not introduce herself. She simply walked. Director, unwavering, straight toward internal affairs. A young desk officer, no more than 6 months in uniform, scrambled to his feet so abruptly he nearly toppled his coffee. Ma'am, can I help you? Her gaze flicked to his nameplate. You can tell Captain Harper I'm here. Yes, ma'am. He fumbled for the phone. By the time he connected the line, Captain Harper's heels were already echoing down the hallway. Freeman, the captain said evenly. I saw the video. Nyla gave a single nod. We need to talk. They vanished into Harper's office without another syllable. Across the station, Brad was still gearing up for patrol. Still full of swagger. Still cracking jokes to Officer Jalen Ruiz, who did not smile once. Ruiz merely stared, stone-faced. You good? Brad asked. Ruiz hesitated. You don't know, do you? Brad frowned. Know what? Before an answer could form, Captain Harper's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. Officer Timmons, report to my office now. His grin faltered. Slowly, he strapped on his belt and stepped out. Shoulders squared, confusion furrowing his brow. But no fear. Not yet. The hallway stretched long, longer than usual, and silent, watching silent. He opened the captain's door and stepped inside. And that is when reality struck him. She was sitting there, not in jeans, not with groceries, not clutching a phone, in uniform, rank gleaming. Paperwork fanned before her like polished daggers. His lips parted. No words came. Captain Harper wasted no time. "Close the door." He obeyed stiffly. "Officer Timons, this is Sergeant Nyla Freeman, Internal Affairs." His eyelids fluttered. "Wait! What?" Nyla did not blink. "You hit me yesterday." Silence pressed down. "You approached without cause," she continued. "Failed to identify yourself. Applied excessive force. Walked away without filing a report." She slid the document across the table, her hand steady as stone. "This is your formal notification of review. You are being investigated for misconduct, excessive use of force, and failure to report an incident involving a civilian, or in this case, a fellow officer." Brad's jaw twitched violently. "Hold on. I didn't know you were—" "That's the problem," Nyla cut in, ice running beneath her words. "You did not ask." Captain Harper sat rigid, face ashen, as though the conversation aged her by a decade. "You are hereby placed on administrative leave, effective immediately, pending the investigation's outcome." Brad's knuckles whitened as his fists clenched. "I've been on this job 10 years. And that," Nyla stated as she rose, voice low but ironclad, "is precisely why this should have never happened. Someone with your experience should have known better." He gaped at her, no longer defiant, simply stunned. The office seemed suffocating, too small, too bright. "How many others, Timmons?" she asked quietly, her stare razor sharp. "How many people did you treat that way and walk away clean?" He said nothing. She waited for no answer. Collecting her files, she walked out, face unshaken. The hallway outside was dead silent. Every eye followed her, every soul understood, and for the first time in a very long while, Brad Timons was not the loudest man in the building, but what he did not know, what no one in that hallway realized yet, was that this was only the beginning. He struck the wrong woman, and only when the dust settled, far too late, did he comprehend that she outranked him. Have you ever stood witness to a moment in real life so immediate, so unfiltered in its rawness, that your mind simply staggered under the weight of what your eyes had absorbed, as though your senses called a timeout, desperately needing to translate the gravity of what unfolded before you? That is exactly what unraveled on that heavy Tuesday afternoon along Forest Avenue, right in the thick, syrupy heart of Shreveport, Louisiana. The air was suffocating, draped in that unmistakable mid-August density where the sky itself seemed to sweat. Heat waves shimmered above the tired asphalt. People drifted along the sidewalks. Car windows cranked open, their foreheads slick with perspiration. A small crowd clustered near the food truck perched on the corner. Lunch-goers queued beneath its sagging awning opposite the flickering neon of the quick stop. Traffic dragged itself lazily past. Strangers ambled with no hurry. Children's laughter laced itself between muffled music sputtering from a frayed speaker somewhere nearby. It was just life, plain, predictable, undisturbed. Then the voice sliced through it all. "Hey, hold it right there!" A man's bark tore through the air, sharp and serrated. Heads jerked toward the sound without hesitation. There was nothing casual in that command. It bore a distinct weight, the sharpened edge of authority that stiffens shoulders on instinct. Officer Brad Timons advanced over the sidewalk, like a man convinced the ground itself bent to his will. His buzzed hair gleamed wet under the glint of mirrored sunglasses. His right hand twitched at his hip, hovering uncomfortably close to his belt. Dangerously close. He was one of those officers, the breed who prowled for provocation, the kind who didn't question first but assumed guilt as a baseline fact. Opposite him stood a woman, tall, poised, composed in the way one only learns through long, quiet power. Faded denim hugged her legs. A loose navy t-shirt draped her frame. No badge visible, no holster evident. Merely a phone resting in one palm and a brown paper bag of groceries in the other. Her forehead knitted, puzzled. She had not yet realized he was speaking to her, but she halted nonetheless. Brad's boots hammered toward her, the sun-scorched concrete amplifying each step. "I said stop," he barked again, his voice louder, stepping firmly into her personal space. "Show me your hands." Calmly, unflinchingly, she raised both hands. The phone remained balanced in her right palm. "Sir, I believe you've—" Crack. No one anticipated it, not even her. The slap shattered the afternoon like a rifle shot, a flat, brutal crack that bounced off the brick walls and glass storefronts. Her groceries exploded from her grasp, crashing onto the concrete. Her phone catapulted into the street, skittering across the asphalt. A mesh bag of oranges split open, the fruit scattering and rolling down into the gutter. The crowd inhaled as one, then silence, thick, sprawling, weighty. Then murmurs, brittle with disbelief. "Did he just hit her?" "She didn't even do anything." Brad loomed over her now, chest puffed, jaw rigid, nostrils flaring with predatory anticipation. His breath came in sharp bursts, as though daring her, hoping, even, for retaliation. Yet the woman, she merely lifted one hand to her cheek, still upright, still impossibly self-possessed. No tears welled, no shouts erupted, no frantic motion, just a single, long blink, deliberate and slow, as though imprinting every microscopic detail of this moment into her mind forever. Without haste, she crouched, retrieved her phone, collected what groceries she could gather, and walked away. Brad did not follow. He yanked down his sunglasses, muttering vaguely about non-compliance, and swaggered back toward his cruiser as though brushing lint from his shoulder. He filed no report, didn't jot so much as a note. Some spectators lifted their phones, uncertain whether to record or retreat. Others simply stood immobilized, caught in the gravity well between horror and resignation. But it wasn't fear of her that stilled them. It was fear of him. A young man by the food truck murmured under his breath, "She's about to sue him to hell and back." But the older woman beside him shook her head slowly, knowingly. "No, baby. She's about to do something far worse." And she was right. Nobody yet grasped who that woman truly was. As dusk draped itself over Forest Avenue, the air still crackled with whispers. Before nightfall, a short, jittery video clip surfaced online. Unfocused, handheld, but unmistakable. It captured everything: her calm restraint, his palm, the slap, the immutable stillness afterward. No shrieking, no hollow threats, just that simmering, unnerving steel behind her gaze. The clip threaded its way through text chains, Facebook timelines, late-night group chats. No one knew her name, but everyone recognized something unmistakable in the quiet finality of her walkaway. It wasn't fear, it was command. Officer Timons, meanwhile, slept undisturbed, or rather feigned sleep with the practiced arrogance of the unaccountable. This wasn't his first cameo in shaky cell phone footage. Internal complaints rolled off him like water beating on wax. He had insulation, friends in convenient offices, an old man who'd once worn sergeant stripes before retirement. Brad had long ago convinced himself of his invulnerability. He believed it still. By morning, he reclined at the precinct, lukewarm coffee in hand. Boots kicked onto the desk as he guffawed with two fellow patrolmen. "That chick thought she was slick," he cackled. "You see her face? Froze like a deer. Priceless." Laughter erupted, but not universally. Detective Tay Saunders sat a distance away, expression neutral, but eyes quietly narrowing. He recognized her, faintly, not recently, but unmistakably. The carriage, the stillness, the surgical precision. She was law enforcement, and not just law enforcement. She was internal affairs. Unaware, Brad kept rambling. Hell, I did her a favor. Could have cuffed her. Could have dragged her in. I let her walk. At that precise moment, Captain Denise Harper swept through the glass doors like a blade wrapped in silk, always sharp, always immaculate before dawn. Timons! Her voice snapped tight. He snapped upright reflexively. Yes, ma'am. Briefing room, now. Brad smirked and followed, still utterly convinced he stood atop solid ground. No nerves, no doubt. But miles away in a sun-drenched kitchen in South Highlands, Sergeant Nyla Freeman fastened her badge to a flawless navy blouse. Every button, every crease exact. No hurry. Her cheek still bore a faint, blooming imprint, but it wasn't pain that lingered there. It was principle, disrespect, and the suffocating memory of bystanders who'd simply let it happen, as though her rank dissolved the instant she wore civilian clothes. She gazed into the mirror one final time, not at the fading mark, but into her own unwavering eyes. Gathering her files and keys, she stepped into the morning. By 8:15 a.m., she stood before Brad's precinct, her badge clipped high, her blazer razor sharp. She didn't knock. She entered as though the very foundation of the building belonged to her. Voices choked mid-sentence. Conversations shrank to murmurs. She didn't bark orders, didn't declare her name. She simply walked, purposeful, steady, direct toward internal affairs. A rookie officer shot to his feet so quickly his coffee nearly toppled. Ma'am, can I assist you? Her eyes flicked to his badge. You can inform Captain Harper that I'm here. Yes, ma'am. His fingers fumbled the phone. Before he connected the call, Harper's heels echoed down the corridor already. Freeman, she greeted flatly. I've seen the footage. Nyla nodded once, crisp. We need to speak. They vanished into Harper's office. Across the building, Brad laced his duty belt with his usual swagger, cracking jokes to Officer Jalen Ruiz, who returned not so much as a smirk. Ruiz simply stared, face granite. You good? Brad asked, puzzled. Ruiz hesitated. You don't know, do you? Brad frowned. Know what? Before clarity could dawn, Captain Harper's voice thundered over the loudspeaker. Officer Timmons, report to my office immediately. His grin fractured slightly. Slowly, he secured his belt and stepped into the hall, shoulders squared, brow furrowed, but still, no fear. The hallway stretched unnaturally long, oppressively silent. He knocked once and entered the office, and that was when the facade shattered. She was there, not in jeans, not with groceries, not with a stray phone, in uniform, rank gleaming, a dossier spread before her like sharpened blades. His jaw sagged, words evaporated. Captain Harper wasted no breath. Close the door. He obeyed woodenly. Officer Timons, meet Sergeant Nyla Freeman, Internal Affairs. His eyelids twitched. Wait, what? Nyla's eyes locked onto his. You struck me yesterday. Silence crashed like a tidal wave. You engaged without cause, she continued. Failed to identify yourself. Applied unnecessary force. Neglected to document the incident. She slid the formal notice across the polished table with precision. You are hereby notified of an official investigation for misconduct, excessive force, and failure to report an encounter involving a civilian, or rather, a fellow officer. Brad's jaw spasmed violently. Hold on, I didn't know you were... That's precisely the problem. Nyla's voice sliced clean. You didn't ask. Captain Harper sat motionless, complexion drained of color as though the exchange siphoned a decade from her. You are placed on immediate administrative leave pending full review. Brad's knuckles blanched white as his fists clenched. I've served 10 years. And that, Nyla replied as she rose with quiet finality, is exactly why this is indefensible. A decade of experience should have taught you restraint. He gawked at her, no longer brash, simply hollow. The office suffocated. Too bright, too small. How many others, Timons? She asked, voice cutting low. How many people did you treat like that and walk away untouched? He said nothing. She demanded no reply. Gathering her files, she exited. The hallway stood silent as stone. Every gaze tracked her. Every breath understood. And for the first time in far too long, Brad Timmons was no longer the dominant force in the room. What he couldn't yet grasp, what nobody around him realized, was that this was merely the opening act.